So we'll call the meeting to order. This is the June 6, 2023 meeting of the Hopkinton Conservation Commission. And I will do the remote meeting preamble. To start us off, pursuant to Chapter 2 of the Acts of 2023, this meeting will be conducted via remote means in accordance with applicable law. This means that members of the public body, as well as members of the public, may access this meeting via virtual means. Participants may access this meeting through the remote meeting link as posted on the meeting agenda and through the town's online calendar. When required by law or allowed by the chair, persons wishing to provide public comment or otherwise participate in the meeting may do so by raising their hand or otherwise signaling their intent to speak. This meeting is being recorded. Please take care to mute your microphone unless you have been recognized by the chair. We will now confirm attendance of members and staff. Please respond with present if you were on the call. Janine LeBlanc,
Here.
Ted Barker Hook,
Ted is here.
Ed Harrow,
Present.
Jim Cirillo,
Present.
and this is Jeff Barnes. Melissa and Carrie are expected to join shortly. For staff, Kim,
Present.
Anna,
Present.
and Joe Orzel with Lucas Environmental.
Present.
Okay, thank you. All right, moving along. I think we're gonna have a short meeting tonight. Let's jump into the work session items, documents for review. 109 Winter Street. This is a one-year extension permit. Any questions or comments on this?
No.
Okay. Kim, did you have anything to add on this one?
No.
Okay, so if I get a motion to issue the one-year extension permit and to have Kim sign on behalf of the commission members present.
I'll make that
So
motion.
I'll
All right.
second.
Okay, and we'll do the roll call votes. Janine,
Aye.
Ted,
Aye.
Ed,
Aye.
Jim,
Aye.
and I'm an aye. All right.
I'm gonna.
Draft minutes for review, none tonight. The Trails LLC, 0 Wilson Street. I don't believe we have a representative on the call for the Trails, so let's put
Through the chair.
yes, Kim.
I do think that. I thought I saw Mr. Peter Bemis.
I am here, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, Mr. Bemis. Okay, so Kim, did you kind of want to just give us a little bit of background on the fines here, please? So we put a letter together to Mr. Gately.
Sure. So the letter that I'm showing on the screen is actually dated August 17th, 2021. So this was when the fines were originally issued by the Conservation Commission in regards to violations which took place over the summer of 2021. The way that it broke down was $22,800 in fines for let me reverse. The first fine was $6,000 for the first violation, which was fines that were held in abeyance from a violation, I believe, that occurred in 2018. The fines from the summer of 2021 broke down into $22,800 for violations of the orders of conditions, $16,400 for missing SWIP reports, and then there was a second incident in which the commission assessed $3,900 for violations. So the total fines, as you can see, that are outstanding are $43,100. That does not include $6,000 that was previously paid by the applicant. As you can see in the letter, the fines were due no later than September 17th, 2021. It was right around that time that the applicant started the discussion about the offsite improvements that they have been permitted through the Conservation Commission at this point. And my understanding was that the applicant was asking for the commission to accept the offsite improvements in lieu of collecting some of these fees.
Okay, thank you, Kim. So, I guess let's put this out to the commission and let's keep in mind, as we're discussing this, what we have required of other, subdivision projects in town where we've had similar situations. I think the most recent one is Turkey Hill, or Turkey Ridge Estates. Another one that comes to mind to me is Pulte, which, they had some violations about the same time that the trails did. So, my sense is at this point, we've been holding these kind of in abeyance. But I think it's time that, we, have to issue fines. So, I'll put it out to the commission for discussion on, what you would like to do here.
Through the chair.
Yes, Ted.
I agree with all of your thoughts. I don't think we've held them in abeyance. I think that Mr. Gately has held them in abeyance. He's chosen not to pay for the last year and a half. And that's a different situation as well. So I think fines are there for a reason. And sometimes it comes time to collect them.
Okay.
And to the chair, this is Janine. While I appreciate that the applicant has done a significant amount of work to improve the site and bring it up to an adequate level, other sites have done the same thing and we've still issued fines. So I don't think we would be consistent if we said, well, in this case, they made improvements, so we won't issue fines, where we have not done that on other sites.
Jeff, this is Jim.
Yes, Jim.
I have an alternate viewpoint, and that is that this the Legacy Farms issues to me are not the same at all with Turkey Ridge and Wayland Chamberlain. In that, I think what they discovered at Legacy Farms were truly unknown conditions that in spite of all the geophysical and other work that was done there, that they didn't find out, as opposed to Turkey Ridge and Wayland Chamberlain, where the plan was not followed through. There were events there that could have been predicted, in my opinion. So that's my take on it, and the difference between those three.
Okay. So I would,
Yield.
I think I would just counter Jim in saying that, when the Trails initiated this project back in 2018, I believe it was, the commission strongly recommended that site clearing be done in phases and not be done all at once. Unfortunately,
Okay, sure.
unfortunately, the developer didn't heed that advice and just decided to go in and clear cut the entire site, grub the entire site. Unfortunately, shortly after that, and I think that was in the winter, early spring. Shortly after that happened, we had a very wet spring. I mean, the soils, I remember, were super saturated because I did a site walk out there and I stepped into an area of the site and I basically sunk down to my hips. It was basically like quicksand. I mean, it was a little bit scary. But, yeah, sorry, go ahead, Jim.
Well, I was going to just say, thank you for refreshing my memory. So in that case, obviously I changed my view on things and my opinion. No, thanks. I'd forgotten all that. When was that? 30 years ago?
Yes,
All
I
right,
kind of, I think, I agree, well, I do agree with Janine and Ted. You know, while the developer, you know, Mr. Bemis have made, you know, great strides in, you know, pulling the site into compliance, you know, over the past couple of years. You know, I think that we have to be consistent in how we administer the fees. So, you know, I think we need to issue the fees, you know, in full, in the full amount of the 43,100 that's outstanding. So Mr. Bemis, just before I ask for a vote on this, did you have any comments?
I wasn't here to appear tonight to try to change your minds and what they would be. I just wanted to remind the commission that there was off-site infrastructure improvements that really go way beyond what was the original proposal for this project that are going to be incurred as an expense to Heritage. And I was hoping to absorb some of those with these fines, but I fully understand and respect your point of view. So that's all I wanted to express. Thank you.
Okay,
Through the
thank
chair-
you.
Through the chair, this is Ed.
Yes, Ed.
I just want to point out that I really think that as much as we have struggled with this, that Mr. Bemis has done a lot of good work to make things better. And I think the fact that, you know, I have a history of living downhill from a development of similar nature and seeing the consequences. And the consequences are so obvious that how anyone could have expected anything different to happen here based on what was done. But I think that Mr. Bemis deserves some credit for fixing some of the past failures.
Thanks, Ed. Yep. So I agree, you know, I think, you know, the commission, thanking Mr. Bemis and Mr. Gately, you know, for getting the site, you know, up to par with regard to the compliance. I mean, it took a little bit of time and a little bit of pushing from the commission standpoint. You know, I will say that it wasn't, you know, completely done, you know, by the developer on their own accord, but, you know, having said that, I agree, Ed. Okay, so,
Could I just ask one question?
Yep.
Through the chair, Jeff.
Yes.
So we're talking about consistency on violations, but the part of the fines are for not submitting SWIP reports. Is that something that we're consistent with, like filing or doing fines if people aren't submitting SWIP reports?
Through the chair.
yes, Kim.
So this is something that the Pulte portion of the development was also fined on.
Okay.
And it is probably going to be part of the discussion around a different site when we do have that discussion. Yeah,
Okay, thank you for
I
that.
would say yes.
Okay. Okay, so I think we're ready to vote, but I just wanted to make one more point, Mr. Bemis. So, you know, you guys are starting the second phase of the project now. And, you know, I was a little bit concerned when I spoke with Kim and she had called, you know, we had talked and, you know, she let me know that the clearing had been conducted out at the site and that, you know, she wasn't notified. So, you know, I know that that wasn't part of the construction phasing, but I think as a courtesy to the commission, you know, if you can be more open-minded about, you know, keeping us up to speed on what's going on out there, that would be helpful. You know, just make sure that, I think we said at a previous meeting, the construction phasing, I think, is going to be a best friend in the second phase of the project.
Right.
So, you know, just keep that in mind going forward with the, you know, we just want to make sure that we're working as partners on the second phase and we don't run into the same types of issues that we did on the first phase of the project.
Yeah, no disagreement. We we didn't have all of the erosion control in, so we stayed out of the buffer zone, but that's still not a good answer. But that's really why I didn't have Kim out there yet, because we didn't have it in place, and I needed it in place to do it properly. So understood. There's the direct line of communication. We've been doing a much better job at that. So thank you.
Yeah, okay, thank you.
Through the chair,
so-
quick thing.
Yep, so I take, go ahead.
When we were in the midst of a lot of issues over at the site, wasn't there an agreement that Mr. Gately would be attending our meetings if we had discussions about what was going on over there?
I think it was, we asked him to attend a few of the meetings around some of the issues that were going on. I don't recall that there was a requirement that he attend all the meetings, but Kim, correct me if I'm wrong. Or Anna.
I think it was a strong encouragement to attend the meetings.
Honestly, I expected him to be here this evening. Kim sent out an email and I replied and said I would attend. I thought he was attending as well, so I'm sorry.
Okay, well, I mean, it's not your fault, so maybe you can just remind Mr. Gately that it would be in his interest to attend the meetings going forward.
Okay.
Okay, if I can get a motion to issue the outstanding fine amount of $43,100 to for the trails violations.
This is Ed, I'll make that motion.
I'll
And-
second. This is
Okay,
Ted.
in a second. And Kim, do we want to set a time frame for receipt of the fines? Should it be 2 weeks, a month?
Because the fines were already issued by the commission and because it's written in the regulations that they're due, I think it's 20 days. I don't think we should specify, I think we should just reiterate to the applicant that they're outstanding. And I would add to that I spoke to the building commissioner today and he indicated that the applicant may have some delays with building permits. If there's outstanding fees due to other departments. So, I would think that would also be somewhat of a motivator for the applicant.
We'll see to it that it gets done promptly. I thought you would put a timeline on it, but I'm good with that. I'll reiterate that it has to be done promptly. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So we'll do the roll call vote. Janine,
Aye.
Ted,
Ted is an aye.
Ed,
Aye.
Jim. You're on mute, Jim,
Aye.
and I'm an aye. Okay,
Great.
the
Thank
motion
you.
carries. All right, thank you, Mr. Bemis.
Good evening.
You too. All right, 7:20, let's move along to the hearings. There are no new hearings tonight. Continued hearings, Rebel Hill LLC, this is 188 and 190 Fruit Street. It's a continuation of a notice of intent for 2 single-family houses. Do we have the applicant on the call or a representative?
Yeah, good evening, Chair. Nick Scully at VHB representing Rebel Hill LLC.
Okay, Mr. Scully, good evening.
Rick Valarelli is also here representing the applicant. But I can kind of run you through what we've done since the last meeting, and then talk through any questions. And, just so that everyone's aware, we submitted our stormwater application since the last hearing. We just got comments back yesterday. So we do have a few comments to go through there. So we will be requesting a continuance, but just wanted to go through everything we've done since the last hearing, what we've submitted, and kind of address if there's any additional questions from you and the commission, address all those at once prior to sort of moving forward.
Great, that'd be helpful, thank you.
So yeah, Kim, thanks for pulling this up. So what we've done since we heard your comments since last time, we've actually shrunk both of the driveways a couple feet from what they were. So we pulled both of those away from the wetland and the no disturb zone. The biggest change was the 190 building. So on the right side of your screen, we've pulled that closer towards the property line and away from the buffer zone. And Kim, if you don't mind, I've updated some of the sort of impervious area and disturbance figures. You mind if I share my screen just to talk through those?
Sure, let me stop sharing. You should be able to grab it now.
Got it. Thank you. And I know we've Lucas Environmental did comment on a few of these, and I've updated them since that point. So this plan shows the original submission, what we looked at last time on top, impervious area within that buffer zone was about just under 8,000 square feet. So that's what's shaded here in that red color. The new proposal and what we submitted is on the bottom here. So we've kind of tried to pull as much as we could away, and we reduced it by about 3,500, just a little less than 3,500 square feet within the buffer zone. So trying to do what we can based on what we heard last time. And I think the other plan that we just wanted to share was this is area disturbed within the buffer zone. So the plan that we had originally showed some areas within this previously disturbed area and the landscape debris pile disturbed. So we basically pulled all that out, knowing that we're going to go back in there and do some mitigation and clean all that up. So these new numbers that we're showing right now, what we had shown previously was about 19,300 square feet of new disturbed area within the buffer zone. And our new proposal, netting out, assuming all of the landscape debris pile is all previously disturbed, it's about a 4,000, just under 4,300 square foot difference. Cleaning up some of the slopes from what we had talked about last time, going from 2-to-1 to 3-to-1, and just trying to clean up as much as we could there. So I think that's the big change. Decreasing a good amount of that earthwork, and knowing there's still some stormwater that we have to talk about from the peer review, but just wanted to talk through that and sort of get any comments and questions that you guys may have on this revised plan, just sort of moving this building and pulling as much as we could out of that buffer zone and away from the resource area.
Yeah, I think that's definitely moving in the right direction from my perspective. Can you just go back to the impervious area
Sure.
plan that you had previously? Okay, so 3,440 foot decrease. Okay. Yep, that looks good to me. Looks like you're moving in the right direction. Is that the conclusion of your presentation?
Yeah, we did submit some phasing plans, but I know there were a number of comments on those, and with the, we know we will need a construction general permit for this, just that this will be disturbance over an acre. So I think that'll clear up a number of those comments. And I think the only other thing we'll say is we don't have a contractor on board at this point in time. The CGP and the SWIP kind of hinges on a contractor being significantly involved in that. So I think we'll, going through the next set of comments and the stormwater comments, a number of those were phasing and CGP and SWIP questions.
Okay.
But we may need to, condition some of those until a contractor is on board, and just wanted to throw that out there, what you guys think of that, just because a contractor is critical in the phasing, stockpiling, all that fun stuff with the construction of the site.
Yeah, no, I think that's fine, Kim. We can condition that right in the order and have it submitted prior to full approval to do the site work. Is that okay with you, or?
Truthfully, I think we end up with a better outcome when we're more specific in the when we make more specific plans at this stage. Other subdivisions have managed to kind of come up with a happy medium between means and methods and meeting the, phasing that the commission and the planning board kind of looks to have.
Mhm.
Truthfully, if it doesn't get on the plans, I've noticed that contractors aren't really reading it in our order of conditions and figuring out how to apply it ahead of time.
Yep, that's a
Um,
good point.
I-
Yep.
it makes me nervous not to kind of have a little bit more of this planned out on, a site with this topography challenge.
Yep, okay, that makes sense. Okay. So Joe, did you have any comments?
Yeah, a couple of quick ones. I think one of those was already addressed. I had noted that on the figure that's showing right now that some of the areas which apparently were not going to be impervious had previously been shown as impervious, and that's been corrected on this figure. Also, I don't know that it was mentioned, but the septic system for both lots for 190 has been moved. That is now 100 feet outside of the 125-foot vernal pool buffer zone. Let's see. There, they show the areas where there will be jute netting, suggesting that or recommending that a note be added to the plan that no plastic netting be included with the erosion control blanket. Let's see. The revised location of the 190 house, it looks like not all the grading, proposed grading is showing around the house. Floor elevation is at let's see, 312.5, and the ground elevation is about 318, and they're not showing any change in grades there, so I recommend those be added to the plan. And also had noted that on the landscape plan, which was mentioned briefly, the area that has the existing landscape debris is not included in the buffer zone disturbance areas. It's also shown on the landscape plan as being loamed and seeded, and was just wondering or recommending that there be some additional detail provided as far as what the proposal for that area is, if it's going to be lawn or if it's going to be allowed to revegetate naturally. And I think that pretty much covers it.
Okay, thank you, Joe. And then, Mr. Scully, you have the beta review that you've received. I don't think we need to go through that in detail, but there are a couple kind of high level comments that we should just mention for the benefit of the commission members. So, I think the beta's comment was the site is subject to the Mass and the Hopkinton stormwater standards. That was one portion of the watershed drains, the local watershed drains onto the property that wasn't accounted for in the initial review and analysis. And then, we just need to take another look at the infiltration assumptions that were made at the site, because we think that those may need to be reevaluated. Kim, was there anything else that I missed? Those were kind of the high level items, right?
Yep, those were kind of the ones that jumped out to me in Beta's letter.
Okay. Let me open it up to other questions and comments from commission members.
Jeff, this is Jim. I have a question, and I apologize if I missed this answer because I was trying to call up a bigger screen. The what's shown is the impervious area. Why is some of the area away from the driveway impervious? What's gonna happen in those areas off of what appears to be the driveway?
Through the chair.
Yes. Mr. Spurr.
So, Mr. Cirillo, we've updated those figures since they were submitted. So I think you're looking at an older figure. Joe
I'm
had
looking at
commented. Yeah, Joe
Yeah,
had
go ahead.
commented on those, and Lucas had commented on that as well. So the figure we're showing on screen, I just updated those right before the meeting.
Okay.
That
All right,
was
cool.
that was just a miss. Yeah. So
Does that adjust? So does the revised area, we'll call it, or the second revision, is it still the same? Is the square footage in this table to the right correct? Or will is that changed also?
The change is going to be it's 3,440 is the decrease in impervious area within the buffer zone.
An additional 3,000.
Uh,
The table I'm looking at says that there was originally 16,106 impervious, and that was revised to 10,902. Right, leaving a difference for that first revision. So the second revision, what's the difference between the second revision and the original?
So I would say both of those, the original and there was the revised, and the numbers that you're looking at, they both included some area that was not impervious. So
Okay,
so the original number was 7,922, and the revised number now is 4,482. So the difference is 3,440. So
yeah,
I'll send these updated numbers to the commission. But that's the difference. So it goes from about 8,000 to about 4,500.
yeah, I get it. Just the math. Okay, I appreciate that. Thank you.
Yep, no problem.
Okay, thank you. Janine, go ahead.
Through the chair. So it looks like the PIB is just runs along the 50-foot buffer zone, both properties. And actually on 190, that brings the PIB within 125 vernal pool buffer zone. It looks like in many places that PIB could probably be brought up.
I guess through the chair.
Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, so we left the PIB from the previous proposal, but we can update those moving forward to move those to the new limit of work. So now that we pulled a number of this away from that 125-foot vernal pool and the no disturb, it looks like you are correct.
Okay, so it'll be more like around where like the silt fence line is?
Correct. Yeah, we'll pull those up to the limit of grading and the limit of work.
Okay, thank you.
Yep, that was a good catch, Janine. Thank you. Okay, other comments, questions from the commission?
Sure, Jeff.
Yes, Ted.
So I agree, Jeff, that this is a much improved plan from the one we saw last meeting. I still got to say that the steepness, whether it's natural or enhanced through landscaping down into the wetlands, scares me quite a bit, both for the construction phase and then whatever's left afterwards. Are all of the contour lines accurate, or was Joe correct in saying it looks like some contour lines are missing? I spent a lot of time looking at the plan, trying to connect the lines and see what's going on.
Through the chair.
Yes.
Yeah. So the existing conditions plan has 2-foot contour lines, and the proposed plan shows 1-foot contours. So Joe is correct with there is some grading missing around this 190 building, but you'll see, like, if I'll zoom in, this dark line is the 310. We've assumed where that 311 is. So although that does not connect to an existing contour, we're showing proposed contours at 1-foot elevations on an existing plan that is only showing 2-foot contour elevations.
So through the chair, and the part that we just zoomed in on, I think that I came to the same conclusion. I'm wondering, north of the driveway, maybe I was being really picky as I lined up lines. Like, for example, oops, you're almost scrolling off of it. where the 304 line crosses the driveway way at the far left of the picture. Where the newly drawn 304 way at the far left.
Over in
Oops,
front of
did I
the
get one?
188 building.
Oh, over
Right.
here.
So that one, for example, doesn't hit the natural 304 contour. So it got me nervous that maybe the area north of the driveway there isn't completely done with the change contour lines.
So
Or am I
I will.
reading it poorly?
So this, we do have a curb along this edge to stop stormwater from discharging into the wetland. So this edge, the pavement edge at this point is, so we'll say at this bold line is 304.5 is the bottom of curb.
Mhm.
So this dark line is 305.
Oh,
So
Oh,
then
I see.
so the
Okay.
303, you come up to the 303 and a half
so
would
that
be
one's
the
actually
bottom
the
of
304.
curb. So this is the 304 line that ties into that existing 304 because there's a 6-inch curb reveal there.
Okay.
Just so that stormwater doesn't flow off and we collect that all in the stormwater system at the bottom of the driveway.
And if I may, through the chair, that's part of what we're waiting for the stormwater report to see whether that design makes sense to them. Yes.
That's part of the review process. Yes,
Right.
Ted.
Okay, so I won't then ask too many questions. My last question, though, does the driveway have to be impervious? There are plenty of buildings kind of tucked in the woods where the driveway is a pervious surface, gravel or dirt gravel mix. But it might also bring up a stormwater question. Certainly stormwater likes to rush across pavement, I would assume, but it also might like to create erosion if it were a pervious surface. But I wonder if that was considered a pervious dirt gravel driveway instead of a paved one.
Yeah, I guess through the chair.
Yes, go ahead.
I can continue to work with the applicant on this. I guess it becomes there's a number of issues that come with that. I know one of the regs is, you know, the ability to pass an ambulance up to the house, and you know, with stormwater and, you know, steep slopes like this and not an asphalt,
Mhm.
that becomes sort of an emergency life safety issue.
Okay.
So you're kind of fighting those two issues. So we've definitely thought about it. Open to the idea, but I think it becomes difficult when you're talking about the planning board's requirement and just the fire department of passing a very heavy vehicle, which is an ambulance, to the front of the house.
Yeah, a lot of that's way above my pay grade. So that sounds like reasonable concerns. If you could just look into it, please, that would make me happy.
Yeah, you know, thank you, Ted. I would just add that, you know, we do have a few other areas in town where we have roadways, you know, abutting gravel, you know, pervious roadways abutting resource areas. And, you know, with the storm events we're getting now, if the roads aren't properly maintained, you know, they get kind of potholes in them. You know, and you run into issues where you get loose sand that's, you know, particularly with the heavy storm events that gets washed into the wetland. You know, so it's almost, in my mind, you know, there's no guarantee that that's going to be maintained properly, especially if it's a private residence. So I'll just, you know, I want to put that out there. I don't want to say either way, you know, which one we prefer, but you know, we have had issues with gravel drives in the past.
And if I may, Jeff, I kind of thought that could be a possibility. I would just like to make sure that the options are explored.
Yep, no, that makes sense, Ted.
Jeff, this is Jim.
Yes,
Yeah, that's a good point you raised, and I appreciate Ted looking at alternatives. Porous pavement is the other alternative, but I haven't looked at the grades to see whether that's gonna function at all. I'm wondering on West Elm Street, remember the house, I forget the address, way up on the hill, it was in dispute for a while, might have even gone to Superior Court within a butter. You remember that house? Several turns, very hard to get up there with a fire truck and ambulance. I'm wondering, did we require, for their driveway, did we require porous pavement? Do you know which one I'm talking about? Like
Yeah,
sort of in,
I don't think we required, I think that was paved, if I remember.
Yeah,
I'm
I
not
just didn't
100%
remember.
sure.
I mean, it looks like that's kind of the same kind of grades as this is. Maybe not as bad, but you know, same kind of, same idea. All right, thank you. So could we consider porous, applicant? Porous pavement?
Through the chair, we can look into it. And I'll look into the grades and whatnot and just see, do my research
If-
on my end.
Yeah, and yeah, if possible, maybe you can come up with some at least order of magnitude, recharge through the forest, not the right word, infiltrate through the forest. What would it, said differently, what would it take away from severe stormwater flow running down the curb and gutter, like put gutters in, but down the curb? That's all. Just I'm curious how it would benefit it, and then you can look at some other things. All right, thank you.
Thank you, Jim.
Through the chair, this is Ed.
Yes, Ed.
And I know I sound like a broken record, but when I look at projects with what I consider pretty incredible grades, they make me extremely uncomfortable. I could imagine this is a one lot. I have extreme difficulty imagining this as a 2-lot project. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Through the chair,
Yes, Kim.
I was just wondering, to the applicant, have these new driveway configurations been shown to the fire department?
So through the chair, we have not shown these, so I think we wanted to get your initial feedback, and then as we're going through the stormwater comments, we'll work with the fire department to get their feedback on these as well. So we'll have some feedback hopefully for the next time we come in front of you guys.
Awesome. I realize it's a little chicken and egg, but I don't want to have the commission get married to a driveway that fire says is unsafe.
Mhm.
The other question is that curb that we were talking about is what's the material? What's the planned material for that curb? Is it asphalt? Is it a granite curb? What's the
Asphalt
look?
is what we're planning for right
Asphalt.
now.
So the homeowner would be responsible for maintaining it continuous for the length of the driveway, basically,
Correct.
without any snow plows hitting it and breaking it up at any point. Okay, thank you.
Mhm. Yep, for sure, the asphalt curbing is not as permanent as granite curbing, so just keep that in mind in your design analysis or review. Okay. Any other questions or comments from the commission? Questions or comments from the audience? So do we want to continue this out to the 27th, Mr. Scully?
Yeah, please, that would be the request. And we're hoping to get some responses back to you guys and the peer reviewer, either by the end of this week or early next week is the goal. So we'll definitely, hopefully be in good shape to chat some more at the next meeting.
Okay, great. If I
Through
can
the
get a
chair?
motion.
Oh,
Yes,
sorry.
Kim.
And just so the commission understands, do you have a scheduled hearing date for planning board?
I have not heard anything to date.
Okay. So just, for the commission's benefit, the planning board will also be, looking at the stormwater as well. So just, a few
Hey.
more cooks in the kitchen.
Well, Jeff,
Yes.
since Kim pointed out, and thank you, Kim, should we continue this until the applicant has been before the planning board? And I think you mentioned that you're going to have the fire department review. But should we wait for the planning board review?
Well, we have to continue it to a date.
Yeah, okay. Well, let's continue to do
Anna
that.
is telling me that the planning board is scheduled for the day before 6/26, it looks like.
So they're
Okay,
meeting
well-
on June 26th. Kim,
Mhm. Yeah, I mean, assuming, obviously, it's up to the planning board and John to make sure that the application is complete on their end, but theoretically, this application could be heard on the planning board's June 26th meeting.
okay, so, in consideration of that, Mr. Scully, that's a day before our next hearing, which is the 27th. I'll leave it up to you on whether you want to do it on the 27th or the following meeting, which is July 18th.
I mean, if you want me to report back on how the 26 goes, even if it's just a 5-minute update, I don't mind doing that as well.
Okay, all right, I think
That
that
makes
makes sense. Yeah, why don't we
Okay.
do that? So if I can get a motion to continue this hearing until June 27th, our next meeting,
So move.
and a second,
Second,
and we'll do the roll call. Janine,
aye.
Ted,
Ted is an aye.
Ed,
Aye.
Jim,
Aye.
and I'm an aye. Okay, thank you, Mr. Schooley. Appreciate the update.
Thank you. No, appreciate it, everyone.
All right. And can you just make sure that you send those updated graphics over to Kim, please?
Yep, will do.
Thank you. Okay, moving along, Hopkinton Parks and Rec for Lakeshore Drive. This is a continuation of a notice of intent for a seasonal deck. I don't think is there anyone on the call from Parks and Rec?
Through the chair.
Yes, Kim.
So we are still working with the Parks and Rec Department to move this application forward. Due to kind of the change in hands over there. We've had a little bit of a delay, but we're working on it. We're working on figuring out what is deficient with DEP so that we can get a file number.
Okay.
So I don't know, Anna, did somebody from Parks and Rec get back to you with an official continuation request or?
They did not.
Okay, so perhaps we should just continue again to the 27th.
Okay, can I get a motion to that effect, please?
This is Ted. I'm happy.
So
to make a
moved.
motion.
I'll second it.
All right, and before we vote, I forgot to ask, because was there any questions from the commission to Kim on the status of the dock, the notice of intent?
Well, this is Jim. I thought we were just waiting for the file number, but there's some question of what, Kim?
So we are, but the applicant no longer is employed with the town of Hopkinton, and we are trying to figure out what was submitted and what hasn't been submitted yet. So we're trying to get
But
DEP
it was the
what they need.
It was the department that, I mean, it was Parks and Rec that submitted the application, not Jay Gelfi, right? And it wasn't him personally, right? So-
Yeah, I mean, we'll be able to pull the application forward. We just got to figure out what DEP needs to feel comfortable issuing a file number.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
Right, I mean, they haven't issued a file number for a reason, right, Kim?
Mhm.
We just need to determine what that reason is.
Yep, exactly.
Okay,
Could
Okay,
it
we'll
be
do-
that could it be that he's just no longer the individual responsible? No?
There's usually something missing from the application.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
okay, we'll do the roll call vote. Janine,
Aye.
Ted,
Aye.
Ed,
Aye.
Jim,
Aye.
and I for me. Okay, thank you, Kim. All right, moving along and going back to the work session items, Claro Haraharan, 234 Hayden Road. This is a request for a certificate of compliance. Kim, did you just want to give us a quick update?
Sure. Let me see if I can pull some items up. That doesn't look correct.
This is the site where we approved 14 trees to be removed from the back of the property. And it looks like the applicant got a little ambitious with some of the clearing that went on back there.
Yeah. All right, hang on with me. I'm not finding the things I need in the file. Hang on. There we go. Okay, so this is a request for a certificate of compliance. The single family home, it's right on Hayden Row. So I think everybody kind of remembers, or I hope everybody kind of remembers the permitting process for this. So this was the last lot that was undeveloped within a larger subdivision. So the commission went back and forth with the applicant quite a bit on the exact sizing of the house, its location, and the extent and limit of the yard. The commission did have a request for certificate of compliance hearing previously a few months ago. Joe went out and found a few items that were inconsistent. So the commission asked the applicant to add PIB signage and include a foundation drain and a propane tank on the request for certificate of compliance plan that were identified in the field previously by Joe. So those features have been added to the new plan. So here's the foundation drain and it outlets here. And then there's a propane tank that was installed in the yard here. You can see, just reviewing the changes from last time, the driveway ended up with a slightly different configuration as well. These little kind of pebbles are stones that were installed by the applicant to serve as the PIB. These pebbles are going into the 100-foot buffer. I assume it was to accommodate the excavation associated by the propane tank. I will pull up some photos. As Jeff was alluding to, there was also a request by the applicant to remove trees. Let's go. Here it is. This was reviewed by the commission and approved in February. It was 14 trees total. Here's kind of a sketch plan. An arborist came out and gave an opinion on the trees, and the commission did vote for them to be removed. I'm going to pull up some photos from when Anna and I were there in January. So this was kind of the original condition of the back of the property with the trees to be removed. There was a significant amount of bittersweet also back there, and poison ivy. A lot of poison ivy there. So I'll put up my photos from yesterday. There are a lot of things in this file. So here's the condition of the property as of yesterday. So here's those lines of rock and the propane tank that we were discussing. As you can see, the trees were removed along with all of the vines and shrubbery. There is a good amount of herbaceous plants growing back, lurid sedge, horsetail, sensitive fern. So you can see it there as well. Here are the PIBs that the applicant installed. It's a wooden stake with our PIB signage on it. Okay. And there's the kind of the edge of the deck for reference of where you're at on the plan. So that's kind of the status of where we're at. As I said, the applicant is requesting a certificate of compliance tonight. I didn't see him or the builder on the call. But yeah, that's kind of where we're at. And I would turn it over to the commission for questions and, analysis.
Yeah, okay, thank you, Kim. So it looks like, as you mentioned, he did a little bit or a lot more clearing than what was approved by us, a lot more than the 14 trees. But Kim, I guess, if that area that is beyond the PIBs, if that's allowed to revegetate, and I guess this question is to Joe too. Do you think that area is going to will reestablish itself fairly quickly? It looks like it's pretty wet back there. So, if they're allowed to just let that revegetate and they don't go back there and disturb it, what's your sense?
Yeah, not to jump over Joe, but I mean, based on what I saw in terms of revegetation, I do think it will revegetate nicely with some there's already a lot of nice native species growing in there. Lots of wet species.
And a lot of the bittersweet's been removed, it looks like.
Yeah, I mean, I would assume that the bittersweet's going to come back because it's kind of in this understory back here. So it'll probably creep its way back. But I mean, there's a really good seed stock there. I will say that the applicant was installing a fence in the front of the property when we were there. And he had a large pile of mulch ready to go. So I'm not sure that we'll be able to see if it does get revegetated, but I think it will. There's the lurid sedge.
Yeah, through the chair, based on my recollection of the site, I would think that would grow back pretty well. Wouldn't have any concerns about revegetating naturally.
Okay, thank you, Joe. And then I guess the other question is, do we feel that the PIBs that the applicant installed, if those are sufficient? And I'll open up to comments from the commission.
So through the chair, my question was going to be, do we think that's going to revegetate enough to be a deterrent for anybody else to go back there, because those little pebbles don't look like much of a deterrent?
Through the chair, this is Ed. If the back is still festooned with bittersweet, it will be out in the yard in no time flat.
Thanks, Ed.
Through the chair?
Yep, go ahead,
I
Kim.
did have a conversation with the applicant to let him know that the wooden stakes is not something that the commission has accepted in the past, but that he felt like it was sufficient, and he wanted it. He requested the commission approve the COC as the way that it currently stands.
In one of the photos, it looks like one's already overgrown and you can't even see it.
Yeah, it looks like they can be pulled out pretty easily. I mean, that's,
They won't last long either.
Yeah, it's a survey stake, right?
Yep.
Joe?
Correct.
Yeah, I think they need to rethink, how those are installed is kind of my sense, Kim. The revegetation, I think, if they allow that to just go wild and they're not back there disturbing it, I think I'm fine with that. But the PIBs, I think, are inadequate. Ted, I think you were talking, but you're on mute.
Sorry, I forgot I muted myself. My son walked through. Yeah, really quickly, this wasn't my initial question. What is that board we're looking at right now on top of the rocks? Is that a permanent fixture?
Yeah, I'm not sure. I did ask if there was any project plans, and I was told there wasn't any additional projects planned. I'm not sure.
It's a weird look. The
Maybe it's
question I
part of
wanted
the
to
PI Yep, sorry, go ahead.
The question I wanted to ask was around the gas tank. Did we give a different PIB line at that point and they redrew it? Or did we never indicate anything? I know Kim said something about making room for the gas tank, but it looks like they gave themselves lots of room for the gas tank. Did we have something else that we wanted there? Or
Through the
was it
chair?
left unclear?
Yes, Kim, go ahead.
I can clarify this. So during the building process of building the house itself, the applicant appeared before the commission on several occasions with modification requests. And one of those modification requests was to install fencing straight across the backyard
Mhm.
here. And the commission found that the fencing would need to go here, here, and then they said that he could encompass basically the 100-foot buffer. The finding was that there was no additional incursion into the buffer that
Mhm.
that was permitted.
I'd like to get that back then. This whole project is so frustrating. And all of the different, can we get this here? Can we get that there? It just adds up. I'd love for those little stone things and better PIB markings to get closer to what we asked for, rather than allowing more and more creep, more and more removal beyond what we asked for. I feel like we're being taken advantage of, and that's frustrating to me.
All great points, Ted.
To the chair, so this is the sketch from the project change request. So the orange line is the fence line that the commission approved. So I think the general intent was to, keep the buffer intact behind that fence.
Mhm. Yep, which is not the case in the current condition.
And also, no one spoke to, the existing driveway is not per the plan.
I'm sorry, Ed, what was that?
The existing driveway as built does not appear to be to the plan.
To the chair,
Yes, Kim.
I do believe that was approved as a minor modification. There were
Yeah,
several minor modifications, so I do not, blame you for. There
Yeah, I
was a lot
think-
of iterations.
Yeah, I remember that too, Kim. I think you're right. That was one of the approved modifications. But to Ted's point, the PIB isn't where we originally requested it. It got moved back beyond the 100-foot buffer, so I think that needs to be put in the appropriate place.
So for when I explain this to the homeowner, do we want the PIB to kind of cut through the propane tank, just go on just the other side of it?
Yeah, I think just on the other side of it. So kind of come down and then do a little, horseshoe around the tank, if you
Mhm.
will, and then continue back down along the 100-foot buffer.
I
Okay.
agree.
Sorry to make more work for you on this, Kim. I know this is one that we'd like to get off the books, but I think we need to just do it properly.
Oh, that's all right.
Okay, so we'll continue this out to the next meeting, June 27th. And I guess we should vote on that, Kim, correct?
I would say you don't need to vote on it. I'll give the applicant and the homeowner your feedback that the PIBs should be restored to the 100-foot buffer line. And we also decided that we feel like the wooden stakes are not adequate. So I feel like perhaps we should give the homeowner more stronger direction in regards to that. What types of materials specifically would be acceptable to you guys?
I think, the 5-foot long iron, chicken wire posts, the
Mhm.
green ones. I mean, to me, that would be sufficient, if we could put those in instead of the wooden, because at least they're permanent. They're not gonna rot. They're a little bit higher. And they're a little bit more difficult to just kind of yank out of the ground or get knocked over by a lawnmower. That's my sense, but I'll let the other commission members chime in on what they think is appropriate.
Well, how many are there? Because it looked like there was just a couple stakes and mostly it was just the rocks. So would we want, seems like we probably need more stakes than what was there. No? Well, so what, there's like 4.
Yeah, 1, 2, looks like there's 3 on the
3.
plan.
Yeah.
Maybe 4 is appropriate because we do them every 30 feet, right, Kim? 30,
Mhm.
35 feet.
So perhaps another one kind of in the middle here.
Yeah, maybe one there and then another one at the end of the to the right. At the end of the 100-foot buffer. Yeah,
Right. So almost like 1, 2,
yeah,
3, 4, or it almost need 5 if you want one in the middle of the backyard here.
yeah.
1,
Does
2,
that make sense to
3,
everyone?
4, 5. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that
Okay.
works unless anyone disagrees. Okay.
If the applicant wanted to move forward with kind of the white vinyl fencing that was proposed during one of the plan changes, would the PIB signage need to be affixed to it, or would the fence suffice?
Yeah, I think we should have the PIB affixed to it, the medallion. And did they already put the fence in, Kim? Or they're getting ready to, right?
They just put a fence in the front, kind of like across the front lawn.
Yeah, so if they're gonna put a fence in along the backside, I would just ask them to, raise it off the ground 6 inches or so, like we did on the house next door.
Mhm.
Just so there's, any kind of critters, migrating to the buffer zone area can get under the fence into the habitat.
Will do.
Okay, any other
Hey, Jeff.
questions? Yep, Jim.
Sorry, I lost contact. I'm back. I'd like those metal posts, the fence posts, the line posts to be 15 feet long, driven into the ground 9 feet if possible. Well, obviously,
15 feet long. Are you being facetious or are you serious?
I'm being a bit sarcastic, but hopefully they go deep enough so that they're not easy to just pull out.
Right, yeah.
No guarantee, obviously. I'm sure we'll probably be back at this property again, but anyway, I was being sarcastic, sorry.
All right. I thought
Oh.
so, but I wasn't sure.
Through the chair,
Yeah,
in general, I usually recommend 4 feet long, 2 feet in the ground, 2 foot reveal. Is that
I don't think
acceptable?
that's nearly enough. No, I don't think that's nearly enough. I'm seriously, an 8-foot piece driven at least 4 feet in. Or I would, you gotta leave more than 2 feet above grade, I think. It seems to me, in order to be obvious and not get overgrown with something, it seems to me it's gotta be higher off the ground.
Are the
And deeper than
rods-
2 feet.
Kim, I'm just trying to remember. I think those green rods are like 5 feet tall.
I think there's a couple different lengths, but 5 maybe, more typical, but we've got lengths.
Yeah, so if you got a 5-foot length, and then put it in, 2 feet, then it has a 3-foot reveal. I think that would be good, Kim.
okay?
I'll acquiesce.
Thanks, Jim. Okay, Kim, are we good on this one?
Yeah, so I'll give the applicant the feedback and then we can kind of move forward from there.
All right, perfect, thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, 47 Stony Brook Road. This is a request for a 1-year extension. Hughes. So we have some area of the property that was exposed. We asked them to loam and seed it. It's been loamed but not seeded. Kim, is that correct?
That's kind of correct. I would say the property's been half loamed. So they are working towards it. I hope progress continues. I can pull up some photos because seeding, good seeding season is also gonna run short here soon.
Yeah.
But yeah, you can see it's kind of hard pack loamed in the back of the property. So it's ready. I believe that the applicant is waiting for irrigation to come through. But yeah, it's something I think, you know, again, I'd feel more comfortable with it secured sooner rather than later. So I think, you know, the commission should keep an eye on it, and I'll keep an eye on it.
My goodness, I wouldn't want to mow that lawn.
Really?
So my recommendation at this point would be to continue again for one more meeting, to give the applicant a chance to kind of finish that loaming and seeding process. And then just depending on where we're at the next meeting, we can kind of make a decision.
Okay.
I'm not sure if the applicant's on the call tonight.
Is the applicant on the call tonight? Nope.
Maybe
Oh, hey,
not.
Carrie. When did Carrie come in? I just noticed you. Okay, that sounds good, Kim. Let's, the owner's not on the call, so let's push this out to the next, hearing. And if I can get a motion to just, push the request for the 1-year extension out to our June 27th meeting.
So moved.
And the second,
Second,
and we'll do the roll call vote. Carrie,
Aye.
Janine,
Aye.
Ted,
Ted is an aye.
Ed,
aye.
Jim,
Aye.
and I for me. Okay, no public forum items, correct, Kim?
That is correct. I do want to let it's kind of straight through. This is the revised agenda. Let the commission know. We are scheduled to have a violation discussion in regards to the 0 Leonard Street development. Mr. Petrosi and his counsel requested that they be present at the violation discussion, and scheduling conflicts prohibited them from making that happen tonight. So we are looking to request that. We're looking to continue that discussion to our next meeting. And in the meantime, I'll keep an eye on Mr. Petrosi's site. I know that Ted had sent me some photos tonight. You know, obviously, anything that we find at the site from now until then that's, you know, in violation of our order could be subject to, you know, fines in line with fines as specified in our regulations. So, I will say that.
Okay, all right, thank you
Hey,
for.
Jeff,
yes,
it's Jim.
Yep.
Hey, through you. Kim, did they indicate that they would be at our June 27th meeting?
They did. I have a positive
Okay,
confirmation in writing. Yep.
okay, great. Thank you.
Okay, that sounds good. Carrie, how did the concert go?
It was good.
Was it like the Mormon Tabernacle, you know,
What,
the
Okay.
Christmas?
Well, it's funny. It's a band concert, and my kid plays percussion, and he's great. Like he's like the smallest one there, so I can barely ever see him.
That's funny.
Yeah.
so
all right.
you're past the recorder playing pepperoni pizza?
Pepperoni pizza.
Yeah, on the recorder, right? They all had a recorder like in 3rd grade or something.
That was bad.
No, you play hot cross buns, not pepperoni pizza.
It's the same song.
It's the same song.
I think it's the same song. You can do a number of things, but yeah.
I'm gonna Google this. My mind is gonna be blown.
As long as you have, I
And
mean,
you-
strawberry cheesecake probably works.
And-
You know, something like that.
And now that we said it, you're not gonna be able to get out of your head for the next 2
Nope.
days. Yeah.
I'm going to have a pepperoni pizza right now. That's what I'm gonna do.
All right, there any updates from committees or anything like that from anyone?
Well, everybody knows what's going on over there. They got trails thing, but I got nothing to say now.
So just one quick thing before we sign off. Ted decided to join us for another term, so I just wanted to thank him for that.
Yay!
Yeah, it was awesome.
Thank you, Ted.
If the select board will have me.
I'm sure they will.
I think you're okay.
Yeah.
Thank you, Jim.
Okay,
Okay, so through the chair, this is Ed. I'm gonna
Yeah.
take this opportunity. You asked if we had anything to say from any other things we're tied into. I'm sure everyone knows, but open space is the proud possessor of a new piece of property, the most remote piece of property in town. There is no frontage. It borders town property, DCR property, and some other private property we'd love to have. And come October, we're going to take a tour, and you're all welcome to come along. Details will be provided.
Thank you for the invite.
yeah, great. Thank you, Ed. Okay, if I can get a motion to adjourn the meeting.
I'll make that
So
motion.
moved. I'll
And-
second.
All right, we'll do the roll call. Carrie,
Aye.
Janine,
Aye.
Ted,
Aye.
Ed,
Aye.
Jim,
Aye.
and I'm an I. All right, everyone, thank you and have a great evening.
Have a good
Night,
night.
guys.
everyone.
Night.
Good night.
See you.
Night.
Night, everybody.